if you had the ability to stop time, what do you think you would do with it? Would you use it for good or for mischief?
Are we rolling?
Like, are you going to rob a bank? Are you going to, oh, I got a 2.
I got an 11.
Just I got 2 as well, Kyle. Let's roll. No, I got 20.
14.
Pepperina, you're going first.
I would use it to nap.
Oh, that's a good answer.
I quite like
Because my days are so incredibly like busy, and I hardly ever have time to even just like eat an actual meal or sit down for a little bit, or like if I could just add 3 extra hours into a day, I would nap because I get maybe 5 hours of sleep a night. Maybe.
I know. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's for good or for evil, but I would.
It's neutral. Let's say neutral.
Yeah, I mean, technically,
as a working single mom, I think we would all working single moms would be like, yeah, more sleep.
Yeah. There should be an allocated nap time for single moms. Like between noon and 3 p.m. You can't bother.
Yeah, no.
What I do, I think I would definitely do mischief. I feel like I would say that I'm going to do it for good, but my first stop is going to be setting myself up for sure. If I could stop time, I could hook it. I'd make it easy. It'd just be sports betting or something. I'd just be loading games for whatever. I'd figure it out. But it's definitely going to be selfish. Take care of yourself first, and then I'll be like, okay, now maybe I'll jump in and do something else. But also, I need to know that I don't need to work this bullshit job all the time. So I quite like my being in general.
I'm just imagining you at like a horse race track, and then you stop time and like kick one of the horse's legs out.
100%.
Yeah,
I've been doing those weird bets where you can bet that a horse will break its leg or something, and I absolutely will break the horse's leg.
Oh yeah, going for the long odds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising after hearing the Cthulhu game and all
Right.
the shooting of dogs that you did in that game.
At least 2 dogs. That's right. I know. This one behind me is going to get it if she keeps this shit up as well.
Okay. Well, I really like the nap answer. That sounds really good. My other, honestly, the first thing that jumped into my head was tying people's shoelaces together. So mischief, I guess.
You can stop time, and that's what you do.
Yeah, I don't want to like mess anything up. It's almost a victimless crime.
Except for the people who are breaking limbs because they're tripping.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but I'll make sure it's people who deserve it.
Okay.
Fair
enough. Some people do.
Kyle, some people deserve to have their shoelaces tied together. That's right.
Yeah.
I'll give you a list. You can come visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got some people.
Because I feel like it's more of the embarrassment than the actual pain.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really take people down a peg.
With their shoelaces. Okay. All right. When you could pants them, wouldn't that be better? I don't know. Whatever.
That would be pretty good too.
All right. Okay. Naps, selfishness, and shoelaces. Okay, good.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
All right, welcome to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Today, we are continuing our discussion on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I am Terry. I have returned, and with me today are Kyle and Pepperina, and this episode is called Welcome to the Big Time.
In this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, this panel of Dungeon Masters is going to take some time to slow down, take a breath, and slip into discussions about the dragons that are most obsessed with temporal magics.
Before we get into it, I want to ask you guys, if you could travel anywhere through time for 24 hours, where would you want to go?
Where would I want to go? Are we rolling?
Sure.
17, I got.
4.
6.
Oh, me first. If I could travel anywhere through time, where would I want to go?
You got 24 hours.
I don't know if there's anywhere that I would enjoy going, to be honest. I might go back. I think I might. I don't know what I'd do. Okay, maybe I want to know how the pyramids were built because nobody knows. I just want to know for myself.
You just want to go take a peek.
Oh, that's so obvious. Why did we never think of this? I couldn't go back to share knowledge or anything because I don't know. If I was like, hey, we've got iPhones or whatever, and they were like, teach us how to make it. I said, I don't. I'm not one of the people that make. I don't know. But I do know that they exist. So I would just
Yeah.
go figure out how they did the pyramids and stuff.
All right. Well, actually, they already solved that problem. It was
They did?
aliens. They made an entire show out of it.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Kyle. Thank you.
I had a teacher in high school that taught that aliens built the pyramids. Like it was a question on the test.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I had a teacher that still thought dinosaurs weren't real. Dude, like as though it was like Bigfoot. I was like, no, they know it's real. There's all in North America, it's a whole thing. She was like, no, you can't believe that stupid stuff. I'm like, oh my God. There's like museums. Have you ever heard of a museum? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The bar is very low for teachers where you guys are, huh?
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Public education.
Okay, you know what I am really curious about? Did you ever hear about that the dancing plague
Mm-hmm.
in Europe where people just danced
Danced
until
till
they
they
died?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You've not heard of that?
I don't think
It's
Yeah.
one of the best like mysteries in history.
and no one knows why it happened.
Yeah, just an entire town of people started dancing
But
until
was
they
it
died.
dancing or was it just like that they were just twitching and
No, they were like full on dancing until
they were
died.
like, please stop us, we can't stop dancing.
They would not stop dancing.
Yeah.
And,
It's so
and then they all
weird.
died.
Were they just 21? Because those people won't seem to stop dancing either, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have to look into it.
I'll look into this.
Yeah.
Okay, Pepperina, what you got?
Oh, well, mine's sad.
Great, good.
But it's the only one I could really think of that I would like want. I mean, we could also travel in the future, but my biggest regret in life is not like say goodbye.
Did Pepperina
Sad.
cut out during
Sad.
that?
Did I?
Yeah.
Pepperina, I would tell you to the chat. This is the first time you cut out this
no,
entire
it's too
episode.
sad. It's too sad. Okay, so I will re-say my sad thing. My biggest regret in life is not being there the day my grandma died. My whole family was there. I was not. I was at tennis practice. So I would go and say goodbye.
God, I was there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I just don't know how to deal with serious things. So
I know. I thought about it so hard. I was like, where would I want to go? And I was like, honestly, that's the only place I would go back to.
That's pretty true.
I mean, honestly, that's really sweet.
it is, yeah,
So
it is. And Kyle and I could have said something along those lines, but we didn't. So
We got
I don't have
the
feelings. So
dancing plague.
that's right.
I mean, those are both pretty solid answers too, though. Like,
That's right.
let me know when you come back what you find out.
Oh, well, if I can't explain what we have now, I don't know if I'm going to be able, I might find out. They might go, this, we use this thing, and I'll go, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll come back here and
I
I'll be like,
know.
they had a thing. It was weird. I don't know. It was like they made a triangle. It was strange. I don't know how to explain
Bring your
it.
phone, man.
Yeah.
Take pictures.
I could do that, yeah. Could do that.
We have previously covered quite a bit in our discussion on Dragons in 5th edition. For all those episodes and more, you can follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and dozens of other podcast apps. And if you'd like to support us, you can donate through the website, check our store, or join our Patreon and get access to other episodes and series. If you'd like to pay for some ad space on It's a Mimic, or just shout out to a friend, please reach out to us through our email and website that are listed in the show notes below.
Hey, this is Adam with a quick reminder to check out our Patreon if you haven't already. All patrons do get access to the Patreon-only Discord, but the real gem, of course, is the additional bonus episodes that you'll get. For Copper Wyrmling tier patrons, there are all of the Campaign Builder episodes, including all of Tier 2 and Tier 3 of play, and of course we're launching into Tier 4 pretty quickly. There's also 7 bonus episodes that Dan and I had recorded way back in the day that never got an official edit or release, and they're a part of this conversation as well. For Bronze Young patrons, there are not just the Legend Lore episodes that go into the backlog of 5th edition, but there are also some episodes about other tabletop role-playing games and the Legend Lore online series, which breaks down all of the D&D Beyond and online material for 5th edition that has been released by Wizards of the Coast. And then, of course, you also get access to the Campaign Builder episodes. For Silver and Adult tier, you get access to all of that, but also bonus episodes that have been released as supplements to regular episodes or are just sidebar bonus rants. And the Homebrew series, where I sit down and talk about how I handle different aspects of 5th edition in unique and interesting ways at my own table. There's also the Gold Ancient tier, which gives you access to all of that stuff, as well as input on topics in some future episodes, as well as a quarterly special episode featuring at least one host dedicated to answering any specific questions that you have about D&D, so it's kind of like a personal mailbag. And then, of course, there's the metallic great worm, which you guys hear all of the time, where there's a Zoom call with at least one host that's going to be recorded and released as a bonus episode every handful of months. So for those of you who haven't checked out the Patreon or you're not quite sure if it's for you, I hope this breakdown helps a little bit, and I look forward to chatting with you guys at the very least in the comments on the public forum. Anyway, let's get back to the episode.
Let's go into time dragons then. I'll give you guys an overview of the lore. From the research that I've done, I discovered that time dragons are a fascinating aspect of Dungeons and Dragons lore, albeit not as widely known as some of the more iconic creatures, such as the chromatic versions of dragons and the metallic versions. But time dragons are an ancient and enigmatic creatures, often dwelling in planes or realms beyond mortal comprehension. They are beings of immense power, closely tied to the fabric of time itself. In the cosmology of D&D, time dragons are said to exist beyond the conventional flow of time, making them difficult to comprehend for mortal minds. This whole thing with time actually messes me up as well. Whatever I say for time-related adventures later on is going to be incorrect, but nobody can prove me wrong. The origins of time dragons are shrouded in mystery. Some sages speculate that they might be primordial entities born from the very essence of time when the multiverse came into existence. Others believe that they might be the result of powerful magic gone awry, or even creations of deities with dominion over time. Time dragons are said to possess incredible temporal abilities, allowing them to manipulate time in various ways. It is written that they can accelerate or decelerate the flow of time within their vicinity. They can freeze moments in time, or they can even rewind time to undo events that they deem undesirable, probably like their own death, I imagine. This mastery over time makes them formidable adversaries and invaluable allies to those who can earn their favor. For their appearance, time dragons are described as majestic and awe-inspiring creatures with scales that shimmer like the shifting sands of an hourglass, and their wings are said to be like the swirling currents of time itself, and their eyes often appear as swirling pools of temporal energy. Some accounts even claim that time dragons possess multiple sets of wings, each representing different aspects of time, though I haven't seen an image anywhere in D&D lore that reflects that, but I have seen it written in a couple of places.
Yeah, I haven't seen an image either.
So is it like they'd be a fabric and it would show a history?
The images that you see kind of shows them with shimmering scales, but the way that it's written down in different areas is that they're almost like not real physical creatures, but almost like a manipulation of space-time. Like they're, they create the shape of a dragon, but how the air kind of bends or the matter around that area. But that's how it's written in places. But the pictures don't seem to show that. They seem to look more like a silver dragon, I guess. Like other dragons in D&D, time dragons can vary widely in alignment. Some are benevolent beings using their powers to protect the timeline and maintain order in the multiverse. Others are more neutral, viewing mortal affairs with detached interest. And there are those who are outright malevolent, seeking to twist time to suit their own desires or to sow chaos across the planes. Time dragons are often revered as custodians of temporal stability, tasked with safeguarding the integrity of the time stream across the vast expanse of the multiverse. In their timeless existence, they bear witness to the ebb and flow of history, standing as silent sentinels against the tide of chaos that threatens to disrupt the delicate balance of time, as D&D players often get themselves in these kind of weird situations where it's like, how are we even involved in this? Legends speak of their presence at pivotal moments in the annals of history, their unseen influence guiding events toward their destined course or intervening to avert catastrophe. I like it that it's on this kind of larger scale because it means that we can really exaggerate things within the game as well. They have lairs as well within their secluded lairs that are said to be nestled within the recesses of temporal nexuses. Time dragons command domains where their very essence of time itself manifests in tangible form. So these enigmatic realms defy mortal comprehension. Their landscapes are shifting and warping in accordance with the whims of their draconic inhabitants, and temporal anomalies may exist within these layers as well. It's written that to communicate with a time dragon is to grapple with the intricacies of temporal understanding, and their speech is laden with cryptic riddles and veiled references to events that are both past and future, which will require mortals to unravel these threads of time to get an understanding of what they're saying. So those who would seek an audience with these types of ancient beings need to tread carefully, or they're going to incur the ire of creatures whose perception of time transcends mortal comprehension. As with many aspects of D&D lore, the specifics of time dragons can vary depending on the campaign setting or edition of the game. In some worlds, they might be revered as guardians of time, while in others, they may be feared as kind of agents of chaos. But the lore on alignment is not too strong. So I guess that kind of gives us the freedom to adjust and adjust these dragons and their alignment to the type of campaign that we're running. But that is essentially it. That's everything I've got on time dragons, you guys. Any immediate thoughts there before I jump into some questions for you?
It feels kind of all over the place.
Right. I know. It's kind of loose. There isn't a whole bunch of lore, but it's very loose in what they're saying. It's like it could be this, it could be that. They're shimmering, shifting. They don't really have a physical form, but then in all the pictures they do, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of different people wrote something and then they couldn't decide. So they all just gonna
squished it
well,
together.
we'll just print it all.
It's all wibbly wobbly and timey
This
wimey.
is what happens as editions get into their later stages, right? It's like we just come up with these buzzwords, like time dragons. What does that mean? Don't worry about that. They'll figure it out. Sure about that.
Don't worry about it.
Just say that it exists, and they'll figure it out.
We're just gonna give you a cool mini, call it a time dragon. That's all you need.
Okay, let's get rolling some dice then. So the lore does feel pretty light, even after all the Fizzbands updates. But what is one spell that you think this kind of dragon should be able to cast? And we can roll for it. I rolled a 7.
Got an 11.
I got a 19.
19, Kyle, go.
What kind of spells should he have? I mean, I feel like it should be a lot of abjuration spells,
Right.
and like divination spells seems like the right kind of thing. Like arcane eye, all like being able to protect itself too. Like
Yeah,
you're not really gonna be able to hit a word time dragon kind of thing.
I feel
I don't know. I don't really like that it has a stat block altogether.
Yeah, in fact,
honestly.
I missed that part in my notes here. So, Kyle, I know you've answered this question, but let me go through that. You reminded me to talk about the layer actions and the regional effects. So, time dragons do have layer actions as well. So, in initiative count 20, the dragon can take any one of a few different actions. So, one of them they can do is a temporal fling. So, this means that the dragon attempts to fling a creature it can see within 60 feet of itself through time. So, this requires the player character to pass a DC 18 wisdom saving throw, or they'll take 4d12 psychic damage, and they'll move 1 round forward in time, which means a target that moves forward in time vanishes for the duration, and then when the effect ends, the target reappears in the space it left or in an unoccupied space nearest to that space itself. It's kind of like mechanically, I guess it's similar to banishment, I guess, for a little.
Yeah.
It kind of comes back
You
mechanically.
like miss a turn.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. Or they can do temporal lag. So the dragon slows time for each creature within 60 feet of itself. So until initiative count 20 on the next round, the affected creatures can move or take an action on its turn, but not both move or take an action. And the creature also can't take a reaction or a bonus action. That's just slow, I think. This is the effects slow. Yeah. Or timeline divergence. So the dragon chooses a space it can fit into within its lair, and the dragon exists simultaneously. That's simultaneously for you, Pepperina. In its space.
Thank you. I wasn't sure.
Until initiative count 20 on the next round. Whenever it moves or takes an action, the dragon chooses which version is moving or acting. If an effect or an attack can target both of the dragon's spaces at the same time, the dragon is affected only once. Quite like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but does it mean that you can hit either one?
Yeah, either one. Yeah.
You're saying, like, I don't know.
So it chooses which space takes the effect, essentially. So if there's something it like, you can say, well, I'm not there. I'm in this space.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you have to hit both at the same time to be able to hit one.
If an effect or an attack can target both the dragon's spaces at the same time, the dragon is affected only once.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if it can choose which space it's existing in at any given time, like if I say I attack this, so it creates 2 of them, right? Like, let's say left and right. If I attack the one on the left, the dragon can say, I'm actually on the right. So you don't hit the one on the left? Is that the way it works?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Okay.
As I read this, that's what it seems to me. We have some regional effects as well. So the region surrounding an ancient or adult dragon's lair is altered by this draconic time magic. So there are 2 effects. They have time dilations. So time fluctuates within 3 miles of the lair. So short rests within this area take 10 minutes or 2 hours. It's up to the DM. And timelessness. Beasts, humanoids, and plants within 3 miles of the lair age only 1 year for every 10 years that passes. I quite like that as well.
Mhm.
That's one of those ones where it's cool, but it doesn't really come up in a game. Like,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
play these kind of long-term games, but it is kind of good to know because you could do something with that for the NPCs or something. And
Yeah, it would be like a big clue.
that's right, exactly. Yeah, it would be. Okay, and then I just want to take you guys through the Time Dragon Wyrmling. Time Dragon Wyrmlings are surprisingly strong. Their strength stat is at 19, and then their con is 17, their intelligence is 17 as well. Even their charisma is high at 17. Their dexterity is low, which is typical of most dragons, and their wisdom is kind of average as well. But they get a few different saving throws. They get dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and charisma. Skills, they get arcana, history, perception, stealth. They get blind sight, and they have dark vision. And even at a Wyrmling, they know draconic, and they also know 2 other languages as well. Multi-attack, they get rend, and then they can make 3 rend attacks. It gives them, even at a Wyrmling, gives them a +7 to hit, 10 foot for a reach, and it'll do some slashing damage. But their big one, a Wyrmling, is their time breath. Recharges on a 5 and a 6, and it's a 15-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. On a fail, they'll take 27 or 68 force damage, and they're magically weakened as it desynchronizes them from the time stream. So while the creature is in this state, attack rolls against it have advantage, and on a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage only. A weakened creature from this can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns as well. So I guess that is similar to advantage. I guess like the restricted condition, I guess, is like that. I don't
Advantage. Yeah, kind of. It's like half of slow almost.
Yeah. That's right.
You just get advantage.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Bring my
know.
notes up. I'm
It
switching.
just feels
Yeah.
it feels like a lot of buzzwords in a sentence.
It does feel like a lot.
Desynchronize from the time stream. It just I don't know.
Mechanically, not a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to add a lot of flavor into like small mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Someone was
bring-
definitely watching Loki and they're like, oh yeah, this is genius.
I don't watch it. Is it good?
Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. I was actually telling my boyfriend about this dragon, and he was like, so it's Loki? It's like basically. Yeah.
Okay. Is that what Loki does? Time stuff? I don't even know what Loki.
Yeah, in the show he does time stuff.
I was never impressed
Yeah.
with the villain. He just seemed to be always losing and not even that much of a threat. So like I
Yeah.
never kind of took him seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
cool.
it's a redemption arc for him kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not really
So-
the villain.
All right. Whatever, Loki. Kyle, back to your spell. What was your spell that you said for this dragon?
I was saying like divination and abjuration spells. So I don't know, like arcane eye, being able to see places where it's not, and then just I don't know, like protection from energies and being able to. I feel like it'd be really hard to hit this thing
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
actually do damage to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would go with things that are just not necessarily damage spells, but like fuckery spells. Like this thing has a lot of like, I'm over here, not over there. So it'd be like Dimension Door. Counter spell. It's going to see already that you were going to
Oh
send
yeah.
that attack. So it knows it's ready, it counters it.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like it would just be a lot of like those super annoying spells that like you think you're gonna do something cool and it's like nope.
Yeah.
Counterspell is so annoying.
Yeah.
It's great to have.
Yeah, and it's just gonna be like, I knew you were gonna do that. Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly that. I'm trying to remember the name of the spell that I want.
Mhm.
What's the warlock spell? It's a warlock spell, and I just have the wrong word in my mind. It's not blur. It's not blink.
Eldritch Blast.
It's not
Yeah.
Eldritch Blast. No.
Eldritch-
Oh, you're right.
That's the only warlock
I'm
spell.
sorry. Sorry, you're absolutely right. It should be Eldritch Blast. Oh, what's the one where you blink in and out, like when you like attack and stuff, and then you disappear, then you come back the next round. I'm sure
I
it's a
think
warlock.
it's Blink.
Is it blink?
Yeah,
I
blank.
think so. Where you go to the ethereal realm.
And then you come in and out.
Yeah, you have to like roll for it if you go or not.
Right now, I know that's
It
ethereal.
either works very well or fucks you over.
Is it really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever cast that spell, but that feels like a spell that would work to be kind of.
Yeah, I
blinking
could
in
see
and out.
that. Where it's like instead of
Mm.
going to the ethereal realm, it's going to like the time, like jumping
whatever,
around in
time
time
stuff.
or whatever. Yeah.
Time stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
Time
spend
stuff.
too hard, we spend too long trying to make all of these spells make sense, as though any of it makes sense, and none
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of it makes sense. So it's what do we do? Just,
Yeah.
just accept it.
Just switch a word. It's perfectly fine.
That's right. Okay. Let's go same order. What do you think this dragon's eggs would look like?
It's me first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the lineup already. I think they would look like really ephemeral, like almost mist-like,
Okay.
and it would be it's hard to describe, but like it would be in several different stages all at once and not at all, right? Like you would see it cracking, hatching, and a solid egg all at the same time, and it would just kind of like bits of the egg would be solid egg, and then it would start cracking, but other parts of it would be cracking out of sync, right? So like imagine there's like 4 quarters to the eggs. 1 quarter is just a regular egg, another quarter is cracking, another quarter is like actually hatched and like just shattered pieces, and then the last one is somewhere in between, and then they're all kind of changing and blinking between the states.
That's pretty deep, Kyle. Can't even imagine that, but I like it. That's more complex than my answer. I just felt I kind of felt like the eggs would be a portal in themselves, as though they're the new Wyrmling that comes through is being pulled from some sort of pocket dimension, and the portal would take the shape of like an egg, but you'll see the disruption in space around it, and then eventually a Wyrmling would just come out of this portal, and then the portal of the egg would close. That's kind of how we see it. Now I don't know what's through there. It's like what's through a black hole. I have no idea. Nobody knows, but that's how I kind of envision it.
See, I wanted it to be like a clock or like an hourglass,
a
like a
clock?
clock or an hourglass.
Oh,
Like you
all right.
flip it over and
I
it's
don't even know
like
what fucking word you're saying. Are you saying clock?
a clock.
Is this
A
real
thing
life?
that tells time.
Clock.
Clock.
What vowels are you using? You can't just make your own vowel, bro. A clack. Okay.
Clock.
Clack.
Fuck.
Look, the internet thinks my accent is endearing, so fuck off,
Oh,
Terry.
that's sure.
I've heard a lot of
Clock.
good things.
Okay. Like it would have arms and numbers and stuff?
The only Reddit posts about me are about my accent.
That's
Yeah,
close.
either that or like an hourglass, like you see the sand coming down, and like slowly revealing the Wyrmling as it goes down until
Oh,
it's
that's
done
cool.
and then it hatches.
Right.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Would the sand be making the dragon? Like
Sure.
the bottom half is like the
the
dragon, and then it's the sand coming down, and then it forms the dragon.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly what I was thinking.
That's it. Kyle, you got it.
You read my mind.
Well, Kyle gave 2 answers, but we'll take it.
I like
Okay.
it.
I like it. What are there any obvious allies or minions that you think would work for these dragons? Kyle, I'm going to throw it to you first again.
Geth, right?
Yes.
They like,
Yes. Okay.
yeah, they work outside time. And I guess if it falls all over the kind of spectrum, just I don't know, anything from the astral plane kind of deal would be great. Right?
Yeah.
I'm especially thinking of those Gith that live in limbo and the monastery that they made with their minds in the elemental plane of chaos, that kind of thing.
I feel like you hold a lot of lore in your head. When you remind me of things, but I don't retain the information. I just get reminded. Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
thing.
I think it's mostly just stuff I have talked about in the past from this podcast.
Oh, it
Yeah.
goes. I say it and then I forget that I said it, and I don't know
It's like cramming for an exam. I become an expert on this thing for that day.
it. For that. Yeah, 100%. People
And then I
remind me all the
forget
time.
it all.
People
Yeah.
remind me of things that I've said. It's happened quite a lot recently, and I go, that does sound like something I would say, but I don't recall saying that. So I got to be more careful with my words, I think, because people are remembering things that I say. But
Mhm.
okay, Gith, and who was next? Me. I was thinking some sort of I think abjuration wizards. I think there's certain schools of magic that don't get enough time. Don't get enough time from people. I think abjuration wizards is one of the ones we see a lot of evocation wizards, divination wizards, I guess. Even like necromancers are really popular, but this is a good time where we can show some more abjuration spells, I think, and I think they would make excellent allies for this kind of time dragon.
You stole my thing, Terry.
What, abjuration wizards? That
No,
was it? Oh,
wizards. Like there are time wizards. I can't say the word, but time wizards.
Can I say which one? Wizards? Can I say wizard?
Yeah, chronomancers. Something like that. I played one. I loved it. It's a lot of fuckery with the DM and just saying, nope, you did not roll that 20. Roll
Oh,
again.
So
Uh,
amazing.
But I would love to see like a cult of time wizards worshiping a time dragon as like the ultimate.
Right.
Like,
Feels like it would be difficult to deal with.
yeah. Terry does not want a cult that worships him.
I don't want a cult that worships me. Maybe
No, I said
I don't know.
difficult.
I don't like attention that I can't control. So if they start getting a bit crazy, I'll be like, all right, just dial it back a little bit. I don't like people looking at me and singing happy birthday and stuff. So just worship me less. Worship me privately.
Over there from afar.
Worship me over there privately. Just text me or something. Tell me how good I am. Tell me I'm strong and I'm useful. I know that's all I need. Okay. What kind of treasure, Kyle, do you expect to find in the hordes of these dragons?
I guess a lot of sentimental things. So if it went back in time and like saved a society from ever dying, like it would keep mementos from its time doing that, I guess. Models of forgotten cities, and cool places like that. Also a lot of confiscated items from the like one of a kind confiscated items that allow people to fuck with time. That it's
Right.
like, nope, you cannot have this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it seems so obvious to say mementos from time, right? So I think, okay, well, that kind of makes sense for all dragons that they would have stuff throughout history. So maybe taking things from the future, maybe you could stick some spelljammer items in, kind of thing, like futuristic spacey stuff that doesn't really seem to make sense or fit, or maybe the party wouldn't understand how to use it, but it's your chance to put some kind of weird futuristic items in the horde as well, I think.
Damn it, Terry, you stole my thing again.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, that's the
We
way
got
it
the past
works.
and the future. Where else is there to go?
We'll go- I don't know. What else we got? Make something
But
up on
no,
the
that's
fly.
what I was thinking, like technology that like you cannot explain because a lot of times when we think about like messing with time, we think about going back and changing things from the past. But it also could move forward in time to find things. So it would be like, I have a phone, like shit that you can't explain.
With you, what? All of D&D all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, let's keep it moving then. So I know I touched on Wyrmling earlier because it was in my notes, but I know also, Kylie, you're going to go into Wyrmling as well. So it's fine if we add some more detail here. But we'll go through the different age categories. We'll start with Wyrmling. We'll finish with myself with Ancient. But Kyle, you got Wyrmling and the Young Time Dragon for us.
I mean, you covered Wyrmling pretty
Yeah.
well, right? There's not a whole lot there in terms of abilities. All that really stands out is the time breath kind of thing. Other than that, it just rend, so it hits with
It
its
was
claws.
interesting it gets more than draconic because most Wyrmlings only get draconic.
Yeah,
for
that's-
Yeah.
languages.
Actually,
I
that's
think
a
my
good
Wyrmling's
point.
common anyway. I always
Mhm.
like common because
Yeah.
then you can have an interaction with them.
This definitely feels like the kind of dragon that should speak all languages,
Right.
right? It's everywhere, all in time. It should be able to speak.
We'll get
Everything.
there later.
Oh, okay. Shit.
I too only
Well
read
then.
section of the
Moving on to Young Time Dragon then. So this dragon moves up to a large dragon. Its AC goes up to 18. It gets a huge boost in terms of hit points, going up to averaging about 210. Its speeds increase to 40 feet walking, 40 feet of climb, and 80 feet of flying speed. Its stats basically pop up by 1 or 2. So now its highest stats are strength, con, and intelligence, where it gets a +5 modifier, followed by charisma with a +3, wisdom with a +2, and dex is the lowest with only a +1. Its saving throws go up slightly, doesn't gain anything new in terms of that. Its blind sight goes from 10 feet to 30 feet, with 120 feet of dark vision. It also learns 2 new languages, and its challenge rating jumps from a CR5 to a CR11. As for its actions, it's still got a multi-attack with Rend, where it makes 3 attacks. Obviously, its attack bonus and damage goes up slightly, dealing 2d6 + 5 slashing damage and 2d6 force damage. Now for the time breath, this also goes up in damage. The DC goes up to a 17 con save. And this time, to end the effect of the time breath, you actually have to roll 2 successful saving throws before you can end the effect. Whereas opposed to the Wyrmling, you only had to pass one saving throw to end the effect of the time breath.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah, that's pretty much the young time dragon.
I love it. Perfect. Okay, let's go through some questions that we can do for Wyrmling and Young Dragon. I think, we can, based on the question, you can decide which age category you want to use for. But let's roll initiative again, so Kyle doesn't need to go first all the time. Well, maybe he will. And
Maybe he
dice.
will.
All right.
I got
I hope not with an 8.
Hold on. I was looking up something. 19.
19. Pepperina, you're going first. Okay, so my first
All
question
right.
is to you. I need some type of role play inspiration.
I mean, if we're looking, let's say at Wyrmling, I think it would be like very excited about the like little things that it could do, but it could only move through time a tiny bit, right? Like it would be sort of annoying to your party because it would be like, look what I could do, and it would be over here, and then it'd pop and be like a minute later pop up over here,
Right.
like on the other side of your camp. And
Yeah.
it would just be doing that and like popping in and out just because it can, and it's like trying to figure out its powers. So it would be like you would never really know where it's gonna pop up.
Right.
But it would only be for like a couple minutes at a time that it'd be gone. And then you're like, and then
Right.
it pop back up in front of you.
You don't have long. If you need to kill it, you don't have long to figure out what you're going to do or adjust to
Yeah.
the situation. Quite like that, actually. Kyle, I think you were next.
Yeah. I also love that. It's hilarious. I just imagine scaring the shit out of people, right?
Yeah. Like
just
it wouldn't
popping in and out.
even like mean to. It would just be so excited that it could do a thing that it would just like you'd be falling asleep and it'd pop up next to you like,
Yeah.
Right.
fuck.
Surprise! Catches you when you're in the bathroom. Role-playing tips. Yeah. I mean, I imagine as they get older, they become more mysterious and annoying as shit to talk to, right? Like that really kind of out there. I have seen all. I see the now, the past, and the future. But this one is trying to emulate the older ones, but not quite getting it.
Right.
So it's trying to sound wise and mysterious, but it just
Mhm.
sounds ridiculous.
Oh god,
Like a
like
university student.
teenagers who already
Yeah.
think they know everything, but this one's like, no, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Teenagers that think they're smart because you've forgotten things that they just learned.
Yeah.
We've all been through this. Like, I get it. You're not the first people to learn this. I just forgot it because it's not important to my everyday life.
I've forgotten more things than you know.
Exactly. Okay. I think I was probably something similar, but I would have them act quite irresponsible with their powers. So maybe be popping in and out of different parts of time, but doing things that are causing significant problems or knock-on effects, but they're irresponsible with it. And so there would be like a chaotic kind of dynamic to it where you're trying to find this dragon or hunt it down. I imagine because it's causing a lot of havoc because it's just irresponsible with how it uses its powers. I like it when young dragons are chaotic in that sense. Even
Like it thinks it's doing good, but doesn't realize the effect it's having on
maybe
the time
thinks it's
stream.
doing good, probably just not aware of the effects it's having, probably just more selfish than
Mhm.
good,
Yeah,
self-centered. That's all of us. Okay, cool.
That's it.
All right, same order. Pepperina, you're going first. Give me something extra inspired. This can be an environmental interaction. It could be even how it uses its powers or its spells, or if you want to add some details for layers and even any type of descriptions that would inspire other DMs for time dragons.
Yeah, I would be very interested in their layers, honestly, like with all the like time stuff going on in there. But like we said, like these are lower powered, so they've not yet got regional effects. They don't have layer actions. So there would just be small things, like you would walk in the door and it would send you somewhere else.
Right.
Or it would send you back in time a minute. So then you're outside the door, like, and it's a continuous loop that you have to try to figure out like how to get through this door. Because every time you walk through it, it shoots you back a minute where you're outside looking at it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think it would be annoying, but not like massively like detrimental to the party.
Right.
But just like
Convenient.
puzzles, like weird time puzzles you have to figure out getting into it. Like, how do I get past this loop? And maybe having to find a different way in than your obvious front door, or,
I like it. I love it. Kyle.
This is oh man, this is a tough one with Time Dragon, because I almost think you need to have the party somehow unaware of the time changes to really be able to properly convey what you're looking at. Like somehow they are outside of its effects, right? So the party, let's say the party is walking down a forest, right? And then something happens, and then all of a sudden they are back in time, further back down the road in the forest where they came from, and then they're coming up to the same situation again, but they remember that it's already happened. And so I don't know, like running into the same thing again and again and again, and just kind of trying to clue them in that something is going wrong with time, but
Right.
nobody else seems to know it but them.
You could do it in a way, just piggybacking off of this, you could do it in a way that the NPCs that they encounter act as though they've seen them before. And they're like, maybe it might even be, no, not you guys again. Please don't hurt me. Last time was so terrible, or something like that. Why do you just kill people and then leave all the time? Something like that. But for the party, it'll be the first time that the people around the table have come across these NPCs, but the NPCs could act like they've seen them before. And then later on, bamf them back to that situation. So then that kind of makes sense. That would be my plan, but I don't like to make things too complicated, because my players will inevitably find a way to avoid all of it and just side quest off somewhere, and then all of this planning is bullshit. But that would be what I would like to execute, I think.
Isn't that just DMing?
Yeah.
Just all this planning is bullshit.
DMing is a
That's-
whole- What
Be a
am I-
DM. All this planning is bullshit. That should be a bumper
Yeah.
sticker.
What's the name of the city in the Celestial Plane on Mount Celestia? There's a city, I forget. I think it begins with an S. Someone on the internet is screaming at
I
me.
don't know.
But one of my players
Yeah.
recently, as you know, we talk about them doing random things, did play. Why can't I remember the name of spells? Did planar travel and moved to that plane, to that city specifically, and was like, we're going to go here right now, as though I have the lore and all of the knowledge and the city plans for all of these places all the time, just complete. And that was to avoid a fight with a dragon as well.
Mhm.
I hate those types of things. And I was like, okay, well, now I have no idea what to do. So this session's come to a screeching halt. That's a perfect example of just fucking everything up all the time. Just do normal stuff. Do normal stuff.
Just go with the plan. You know, I'm pointing you in this direction.
Yes. Look, here's your 3 options that make it
This
feel
is-
like you have agency.
This is what I've planned for the past month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about combat, Pepperina?
I mean, I don't see necessarily these dragons as a whole as being very combative.
Right.
Like I said, their spells and what they can do is more like fuckery than it is damaging. Even their attacks don't have like a ton of damage
Right.
dealt to them. So I don't know, especially at this age, that they're going to like fight you to the death.
Right.
I think they're going to be the type that like hits you with their time breath, slows you down, and fucks off. I'm not seeing a whole lot of like, oh, I'm fighting you to the death as a
No,
Wyrmling.
I think
Yeah.
Like a black Wyrmling, yes. This one, I think they're just gonna try and slow you down and then like pop out of there and then go tell their mom, and their mom's gonna be like, yeah, I know, I saw it already.
Yeah.
That's right. Kyle, what we got for combat?
I agree with Pepperina. I don't really see it being a combat thing. And kind of jumping off what she said, it's like if the party comes in and there's supposed to be a fight, I could just see the dragon be like, no, let's try this again. And then the party warps back outside and then comes in, and then you do like the reintroduction, right? Like, and then every time it ends up violent, it should be like, no, I guess we'll just try this again, and then shunts the party back in time to come back in again.
Yeah.
It's like restarting the video game when you realize you fucked up.
Yeah. Or you do
Going
the
back to-
wrong.
Going back to your save, like, oh, I accidentally hit an NPC and now I'm on the run. Let's go back to
Yeah.
the last
I
save.
like that. I think I would make it as there's some sort of conditions that need to be met for the dragon to be able to do that. Maybe there's an item within the lair where the party can learn that if the dragon can get to it and activate it, then it can reset the time or push you back. So part of the combat would be trying to stop the dragon from getting to that item and keeping it away, because you know that it'll reset the
Yeah.
whole encounter if it does. I like that.
Just a big button that they
Yeah.
slam.
I think, going off of what one of you guys said earlier, that the dragon would just keep reappearing at different points in time. So for the dragon, it would be the same encounter, and this could be over this a long stage of a campaign where it would come back with the same amount of hit points. Like you might get it down 50 hit points, that'll bamf out, but then it's going to reappear at the campsite later, same amount of hit points, no time has really passed for the dragon, like it's just one action, and it just keeps showing up all the time. So you could end up with an encounter with something else, and then this young dragon with 150 hit points remaining also appears at that time, and then will show up again later on. So I just like this reoccurring encounter, which for the dragon is probably the same encounter.
Yeah. That would
All right.
be real fucked if it, like, every time it came back, it was older. Like, it just paused for
Yeah.
you guys for a minute, and it went and, like, got stronger and then came back and was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. Get the fuck of me around now. That's right. I've waited 800 years for this.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Awesome.
All
Let's
right.
move along. Let's go to Pepperina. You've got adult dragons for us. Adult time
Yes.
dragons.
So as adults, we are now a huge dragon. The AC gets bumped up 1. The HP only goes up by 40, which seems really low to me, since we are going from a CR 11 to an 18. All speeds stay the same, but all the stats do get a pretty decent bump. The most significant being strength, which now gets a +7. Wisdom, intelligence, and constitution all have a +6. Charisma is a +5, and Dex, as usual with dragons, is the lowest, but still gets a +2, so it still gets a small increase there. All the saving throws go up by 3 points. Arcana goes up by 3, but history, perception, and stealth go up by 5, now giving history a +18, which I think really tracks with these guys since they can pop all throughout time, that they would know their history pretty well. And now they know all languages. For actions, we still have the 3 rend attacks, which honestly don't change very much. It's now a +13 to hit and is 2d6 +7 slashing and 2d6 force. So that's only a +2 to damage that increases on those attacks. Time breath is very similar. It's now a 60-foot cone and does 8d8 force damage. But on a fail, you also get the poisoned condition as well as the having advantage on attack rolls against you. And it is now 3 successes to be able to get rid of that. While their actions don't get changed a whole lot, they do get the addition of legendary resistances and some fun reactions. I do believe at this point is when they also get their layer actions and regional effects and
Right.
all that you already discussed as well. So they do get quite a bit more going from young to adult. So they can take up to 3 reactions per round, but only 1 per turn. First is reactive rend. After using a legendary resistance or in response to being hit by an attack roll, the dragon makes 1 rend attack. Second is slow time. Immediately after a creature the dragon can see ends its turn, the dragon targets a creature it can see within 60 feet, so it does not have to be the same creature, that is weakened by its time breath. Until the weakened effect ends on that target, its speed becomes 0 and its speed cannot increase. And last, we have time slip. The dragon halves the damage it takes from an attacker. The dragon can immediately teleport along with any equipment it is wearing or carrying up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see.
Gets quite a lot then, I guess, when it goes up to adult. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't normally see the addition of reactions
That's right.
in dragon stats. Like, that was something pretty unique, I thought.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Let's go same order. What about role playing inspo, Pepperina?
I think at adult it's definitely seen a lot more. So it is going to be, I think talking to it is almost going to be hard because it's not, its view of the timeline is not the same as your view of the timeline. Right. So like it will start talking about things that doesn't quite make sense to you because for you it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But it just sees it as like, yeah, that happened, obviously. Like, you know about it. So it will I think it will like give you hints on what you're supposed to do. like as your quest and stuff, like, yeah, you guys got that thing from that castle, right? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
So as a DM, definitely use that to like slip out little hints if your players are not getting it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's gonna know what you're supposed to do before you know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but yeah, it's gonna be sort of a tangled like riddle of time as
Right.
it speaks. And you're gonna have to try and really figure it out.
I like it. Kyle?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, honestly, I that's pretty much how I would do it too. I think that's a great idea, especially, talking about stuff you still haven't done yet. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean you haven't gotten that here? Or you haven't gotten that item yet? What are you even doing here? And then it like slams the button and then it just shunts you away.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to be here yet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I like that. I think I would fuck with the players for role playing in that I would maybe just have one player character that the dragon always acts like they're already dead all the time. Just this one like it will interact with other people in the party and then just look at the one, like the wizard or something, be like, oh, it was sad when that happened, right? And then just move on. Like, what? But I did like this one. I did like this one, as though they're already dead. Like, what? Ignores them all the time.
Or
Or
it like treats your fighter with like a great deal of respect because it knows that like they're going out in a blaze of fire. Like,
right.
like
Exactly. Or already has
Yeah.
like, a statue in their honor or something.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
From when you died, when you tried to fight me.
Yeah. Can you autograph the statue?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
it's
would
you as an old man. Like,
Yeah, I would fuck with people like that for sure. What about exploration inspo, Pepperina?
I mean, we get a
Environment.
lot with the like addition of the layer actions and the regional effects. So I definitely always like to lean into the regional effects when it comes to adult dragons and exploration. I really do like the one where one you age 1 year for every 10 years. Like, and
Would be nice.
I think at first your party might just think they're maybe with like elves because people will be like, yes, I'm 100 years old.
Yeah.
And they look like, they're 10, I guess. Like,
The retinol. Yeah.
right, like it would seem like they're much, much younger. So like you would feel like you're with elves, but you're not. And that kind of thing. That would be like, what is happening in this place? I've also played in a game where this was in a Fey forest, but we went into the forest, and for us it was a week that went by, and we came out and 10 years had went by for every other player in the world, because it's multiple groups that play in this world, not just one. So like my group was the same age, everything that we were. This like every other group aged 10 years and had to like write what they were doing in that 10 years because we came out of this forest. So
Shit,
I
alright.
would like add things like that. Like once you come out of their area, time has changed. Like your family has aged. You have like left this time paradox and the world has jumped a certain amount of years depending on how long you stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
That's a
it.
good idea.
Let's fuck you with time stuff. Kyle.
I think it would be a lot easier to convey a lot of this stuff if someone in your party has the keen mind feat, right? Like you can explain, because you always know the number of hours left before the next sunrise or sunset. And so you could be like, oh, it's 3 hours. Now it's 1.5. Now it's like -4 hours until sunset, and just kind of explain that, something isn't quite right with what's going on.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a very, I don't know, with time, it's very hard to explain in terms of exploration what's going on.
Oh, I think I might, as the DM, I would maybe tell the player that has keen mind that if they said how long till the next sunset, I might say 3 hours and 30 hours. Just fuck with them like that and just say you're
Okay, yeah.
confusing. You know two things to be true at once.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like it. So yeah, I like the idea of the keen mind. You kind of threw me off there with getting what I would do from that. Okay. But for exploration, I think I quite like the idea of having trinkets and stuff around from the future. When I said that idea of having a statue of a player character that's already dead, I think I would do different things like that. I would kind of predict things in a way. I know as a DM, we can't really say if it's going to be true or not, but it's just an indication of maybe what's happening behind the scenes, like certain like memorials or even scrolls that tell of stories of certain player characters and what they've done, or even like certain betrayals that they'll come across. Like I would just kind of use that as a time to drop real heavy hints, because I know players don't get stuff, for what may be happening behind the scenes, as though it's already happened. I'll probably do that.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know, if you predicted wrong, you just say, well, that was a different timeline.
Oh, there you go, different timeline.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I inevitably
Or they're like, I
predict
thought
what-
that I died during this. That was a different timeline.
Oh,
Yeah.
get it?
Glad it
So
wasn't that one.
What about
So-
combat, Pepperina? Or Kyle, if you got a point, you can make a point.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is a great dragon to play if you're a DM with terrible planning or bad memory.
Yeah.
Because then you'd be like, well, what about this happened? It's like, oh, that was a different timeline.
Yeah.
And then just continue on.
Yeah. You're on this branch now. Because it's,
Yeah.
I do remember in the description that like its horns branch out are like the different branches of time that it could possibly be. So it does like include that
Yeah.
in some of the lore.
Like that. What about combat, Pepperina?
I think the addition of reactions versus, you know, we normally would see this only as a rend attack, right? We would normally see claw, we normally see bite, we might get a tail attack by this point. We don't have
Yeah.
any of those.
I know.
So I think that really confirms the like its main goal is not to attack you, but its reactions are a defense
Right.
for itself. So I think it would play very heavily on that. Like, okay, if you're gonna attack me, I'm gonna have to do this. It's not necessarily what I want to do, but it slows you to 0 speed.
Right.
Is one of its reactions. It wants you to stop. Like, I
Yeah.
will stop you. I will like get you to be still. You cannot move. Like, no matter and it says their speed cannot increase. So like, you know, any spell or anything like that cannot increase that. They are trying to get you to pause. They're like, they can go from one space to another. They're trying to like portal away. They're trying to get you to stop. So I would lean very heavily into those reactions. And especially since it gets 3 per round, like it's hitting off reactions almost every attack
Right.
against it.
Yeah, that seems to be
Yeah.
the way that the text wants you to go.
Mhm.
I like the reactions. I like the idea that they would not be attacking, that it would just be for defense using reactions. Kyle?
Yeah, it would just, I agree with Pepperina. Like, it would just show you how useless it is to fight it. Like, you cannot win. Don't even try. Because I'll be honest, I hate that there is a stat block for this dragon altogether. Like, I don't think it should ever fight. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not what it's intended to do, right? Like, it's
Mhm.
Right. It feels like the stat
Yeah.
block's there because it's a creature that needs to have a stat block, but it does seem that the text is not encouraging
Yeah.
creature to be.
I think it has like too much knowledge of the world to like want to be bothered with fighting. Like,
yeah.
there's too much more important stuff than your little squabble with me right now.
exactly that.
Yeah.
I have more
I-
important things to do than this.
Yeah. Like, I almost think it should be viewed as a god along the like lines of Tiamat, right? Like,
Right.
this is
Mhm.
one of the main dragons, and it shouldn't, I don't know. I don't like that there's a whole bunch of them. This feels like one dragon is
Right.
the time dragon, and it is there to protect the timeline. And that's kind of how I would play it. But
Yeah, no, I agree, and I do like that. So we should move on to ancient dragons and ancient time dragons.
Mhm.
And so ancient time dragons, that's when they get their gargantuan creature size. They are typically neutral at this stage, but again, it kind of depends on how you want to play it, I suppose. Armor class will go right up to 22. Average hit points of 536. That's 29 d20 plus 232. They have a walking speed, a climb speed, and a flying speed. Their strength is jacked all the way up to 28. Constitution all the way up to 26. Charisma and intelligence both very high as well. Dexterity at 14, but that's still pretty good for a dragon. And wisdom is lower at 18. for a dragon. Knows all languages, challenge rating of 26, and it gets at this point cycle of rebirth. I don't think the adult had cycle of rebirth, right?
No,
So
it
if
did
the
not.
dragon dies,
No.
its soul coalesces into a steely egg and teleports to a random plane of existence. The egg is immune to all damage and hatches into a time dragon wyrmling. After 1d100 years, the dragon retains all memories and knowledge it gained in its previous life. Okay, so I guess that's what the
Yeah.
eggs look like. So
And I think that could go with what Kyle just said about there being just one time dragon. When
Right.
it dies, it gets reborn. And
I
it's the
like it.
same
Yeah.
dragon.
I like it. Do you think
Yeah.
it would be this? It would be the same dragon, I think.
It says it retains all of its knowledge from its previous life. So it's
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Legendary resistance up to 5 a day. Go on, Kyle.
Do you know who Ouroboros is? Like the snake that eats its own tail.
I
It's
haven't said that yet.
yeah, it's a thing in a bunch of different like mythologies, and it's basically it comes from Egyptian mythology, and it basically represents the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and so it's always there. Yeah, man,
I'm with you.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I read about it like just before this thing, and I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, it's always there and it's not there, right? Like that's how I think of the time dragon. It is
Yeah. Right. Right.
all it is the wyrmling, the young, the adult, and the great worm all at the same time, and none of them, right? It is all in none, and it is ever present and not there at the same time.
Right. Right. So for the
All right,
action, go on, Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. It's because let me tell you why I'm just letting you talk, because I have to click off of this to go to my notes, and so I can't see you. So I'm just waiting for your pause so that I'll keep talking. But it just seems like I'm not interested in what you're saying, but I am. I'm just letting you finish your point.
No, I appreciate it. No, I am also just taking long breaks between it because trying to gather my thoughts. So it sounds like I am done talking.
Sometimes you start a sentence and you don't know where it's going. I understand. It's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's every episode. It's just we just start talking and we don't know where we're gonna end.
That's just me. That's just me running D&D as well. It's staying with the stuff. Does it? What's its name? I don't. It's, yes. Okay. Time breath. The save Constitution save goes up to a DC 24. Failed save, you'll take 8d12 force damage. You'll get the poison condition for the time breath as well this time. And then we also get time gate. Once per day, the dragon conjures a 20-foot diameter circular portal in the space between its horns and an unoccupied space it can see within 30 feet of itself. The portal links to a precise location on any plane of existence at any point in time up to 8,000 years from the present, whether it's past or future. That seems very specific, 8,000 years, right? I mean, at that point,
Yeah.
at that point, does it matter? Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
why not 10?
Yeah, exactly. The portal lasts for 24 hours until the dragon's concentration ends, as if concentrating on a spell. And the portal has a front and a back on each plane where it appears. Travel through the portal is possible only by moving through its front. Anything that does so is transported to the destination, appearing in an unoccupied space nearest to the portal. Deities and other planar rulers can prevent portals created by the dragon from an opening in the ruler's presence or anywhere within their domains. Reactions, we get reactive rend, we have slow time, and we have time slip that we talked about before. And then we went through the lair actions, I think, but I'll remind you guys. So temporal fling, where they can fling a creature within 60 feet of itself through time. It's a DC 18 wisdom saving throw or 4d12 psychic damage. And a target moves forwards in time, vanishes for the duration, and then reappears later on. Temporal lag as well, where it slows time for each creature within 60 feet of itself. And then the timeline divergence, where the dragon chooses a space it could fit within its lair, and the dragon exists simultaneously in this space and the other chosen space that we went through earlier. And then we went through the regional effects. So not too much added other than the cycle of rebirth, and the stats get jacked way up as well. All right, who's first? Pepperina, roleplay, inspiration.
So this one actually gave me an idea, not necessarily for the ancient, but back to the Wyrmling for role playing. If it rebirths itself into a Wyrmling that has all of the knowledge of an ancient dragon,
Right.
like
Doesn't know all languages then?
yeah, well, it says all knowledges. I don't know. That gets all time fucky too. But yeah, could you imagine coming up against like finding a Wyrmling that was an ancient dragon and has all of that, like not just any ancient dragon, but an ancient time dragon that knows all of time and space by that point.
Yeah.
And like it just keeps recycling. And like this could be the 5th adaptation of this
Right.
dragon as a Wyrmling.
And what do you even talk to it about? that point.
Yeah. It has
It would be
all of the
insufferable.
knowledge of the world. Yeah.
Exactly. But it forgets its languages, apparently.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has 3 languages, which is more than any other Wyrmling
That's
that
brilliant.
I've seen.
Exactly. Kyle, role playing.
Role playing for an ancient dragon. Yeah, kind of insufferable to talk to, and it would already know what you're gonna say before you say it,
Right.
Mhm.
right? Like the party, whatever they say, and the dragon would just answer, "As I have foreseen."
Or, oh,
Yeah.
we're in this timeline.
I already
Yeah.
don't. Oh god, I hate this shit.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you come in and say something like, oh, we're in this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
might want to simmer down a little. It doesn't go well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just always what it says. It doesn't. That will be painful for you. Yeah, I think so. I think it would just be insufferable for sure, but just not even present, not even paying attention. I guess like if it already knows everything across all timelines, what are you even there for? What do you even talk to it for at this point? It just feels
Yeah.
so detached from your
Yeah.
reality. So I think I would just at this point it's just kind of very distant. You may not even get too much of an interaction with it. Maybe it's communicating with you on a grander scale as well. Maybe it is more godlike in how it's communicating. It's probably not a direct conversation, but probably certain omens and things that are encouraging you, signs that are encouraging you to go onto a certain path, which inevitably will ignore. Yeah. What about exploration, Pepperina?
I would like to think about like at this high of a power, the effects that their like time magic would have on like any cities or towns or people around them. I mean, beyond like the regional effects that we get, I think as an ancient, you would see like you'd get deja vu, you know, something would happen and then it would happen again, and you're like, didn't I just see that cat go by? You know, it would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would be that like that was weird. And like you'd be talking to somebody and then all of a sudden they would be on a different conversation.
Yeah.
Like they'd already be answering a question that you were thinking about asking. Sort of thing, like as you're going through this town. I would play with that. Like their spells and all of their portals and all that kind of stuff is going to like have more of an effect on the world around it and the people around it.
Right. I like this. I might answer the previous question, is what I might do. Let them ask a question, leave them hanging. Then when I ask the next one, answer the first one and see how long I'm down to myself as the DM. How long could I do that for? Answering the previous question as though time's just off a little bit. Do like that.
The first one, you just say something completely random that makes no sense. And then that's like the answer to their last
Right.
question.
Because that was the last question.
I already answered that.
That's right. Yeah. And then the very last thing you say to them is the answer to the final question. When there's like the main question you don't answer until right when they're leaving. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think exploration at this point I'm thinking of their lairs. I think it would just be so many secrets and developments from like ancient civilizations and even civilizations from the future. I'd have them really well built out, and I think I'd go into a lot of depth with a time dragon's lair at this point at the ancient stage. And chance to kind of jump into some lore as well, because you can get creative with it, things from different planes of existence as well. But I would really expand on the layers at this point, I think.
Yeah. I would agree. I think for me, how I would kind of play it is before you get to the dragon, there is just a long hallway, and it would be just lined with screens showing different worlds, different times, and like it's just a bunch of TVs, right? Playing all these things, and your party won't be able to recognize half of them, right? Like you'll see entirely new and different species that don't exist in your timeline or in your realm, and all these crazy fantastical things, maybe even one of this a significant historical event that happened in your universe like a long time ago playing on these TVs, so your party can see something that was pivotal in shaping the world you have created.
Right. I like it.
Oh.
Go on, Pepperina.
Oh, I was gonna say that gave me an idea of like they would find one of themselves fighting something that they don't know yet. But like if you had, because you know we all have like who we think is the BBEG, but like sometimes there's that bigger BBEG. Like there's a battle against the bigger BBEG, and the person you think you're actually going to fight is on your side.
Right.
Interesting. I like that.
I like that. Like it shows them fighting together. This reminds me, Kyle, Pepperina, this won't be relevant to you, but Kyle, have you been on the SkyTrain downtown recently? Have you seen the new ads that they have where it follows?
No.
Like you look out of the window at the train and the train's flying along as it does, and it keeps up with you, like the ad. So it just continues to play, like it moves along with the train. It's trippy.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's that kind of thing is what I imagined when you were talking about that. Cool. Okay, what are we moving on to? Combat, Pepperina?
Combat.
Hit me. Combat. Ancient time.
All right. Well, I mean, we've all, said we don't think it's actually going to fight a whole lot. But one of our prompts on here is what happens when it dies. And I think this would be a very interesting death to witness, because what does happen when it dies? It goes back into a Wyrmling, into a different plane of existence. So what happens to this ancient's body? Does it just poof out? It's like it was never there. Is there like smoke? Does it turn into dust, like a hourglass sort of thing? Like how would that look, and how would that affect the area around it, and like all of the time slowing? And would people just age like their aging has been slowed? Would they just look the age they're supposed to be? Like, usually it's in like 1d10 days or something. Like in 10 days, is this 10-year-old 100?
Right. Like it'll catch itself back up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fucking
Interesting.
That is fucking
Like that.
Yeah. And maybe as you get close to the point of death for the dragon, the signs are that these things will start to happen. And then it's, do you continue to, it should get harder and harder to try and deal that final blow, to even get to the point of, do we even want to do that? Because you can see what's happening to time.
And I mean, you could even play with, like, as you're close to a dragon and it dies, like there is an environmental impact immediately around it a lot of times.
Right.
Like a power surge that could send your party to different points in time.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. I like it.
I like that idea. Yeah, I would say it would be catastrophic if it died, right? I'm imagining it turning into like a sucking black hole
Yeah.
that just is almost destroying reality, right? Like you'd see cracks just appear in the air, and like all of reality is a pane of glass that's breaking, and then it just, it would be destroying its layer, right? It would be sucking it all in, and it'd kill a continent kind of thing if this thing died.
That's how I see it as well. It needs to be, I think that's the right word. It needs to be catastrophic, whatever happens, and it needs to be a real tough choice for whether or not the party should kill it, because we know all the way through that's what the plan is, and then when it comes time to do it, it should be very catastrophic. I agree.
If you've been inspired by the conversation in this episode, please feel free to reach out and share your creativity and ideas with us and the rest of the community. You can reach us on Facebook and Instagram, or on our subreddit r/it'samimic. Also, if you're feeling particularly generous, please follow and subscribe, and leave us positive reviews, likes, and comments. Engagements like that help us pop up on search engines and keep this show running.
Perfect. Okay, any final thoughts, you guys, on Ancient Time Dragons before we wrap this thing up?
For me, this is one of the few times where I would advocate that this should be only good. A time dragon should be like lawful good. And it should be like a godlike being that cares and wants to see, just reality continue. It doesn't seem like it should be an evil dragon ever.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd say evil. I do believe it's supposed to be unaligned, and I can very much see that as like
typically neutral is what it's.
Like a druid is neutral. Like it is not here for society or for nature. It is here to create keep the balance of the two.
Maybe
I don't think I would go good or evil. It would be, this is the time, this is it. I'm not here to bring back, a person you lost because you want to. It's not good for the timeline. Like you can't come at me with that. And I'm not here to do whatever the Lich wants, because that's not good for the timeline.
Right.
Like it is the keeper of it, and in the most neutral of ways.
I like that.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Love it. All right, Kyle, get us out of here.
Anyway, that's all for this part of our conversation on Time Dragons in D&D 5th edition. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, comment, and review to help push our engagement. And don't forget to subscribe to find future inspirations for your campaigns.
If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com, as well as a Patreon. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many other podcast apps. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Please check the show notes for this episode to see links, time codes, and credits, and don't forget to reach out and share your own inspirations.
Yeah, you've had 3 months off. I have 6 recordings this month.
Oh, you do? Okay, I have no idea what's going on at all. Okay, who's DM2? Give us a cold open. Kyle.
Oh shit, that's me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I hate coming up with cold opens so much.
Cannot minimize. Give us something related to time. If we could go back in time or something.
Well, I'm kind of asking in the intro about if we could travel. So
Yeah, right. So, the best question is already taken.
don't take my question.
Yeah.
That was just given to me and I didn't have to come up with.
Some of the things that I dug up once my stupid dog stops growling. Yona, shut up. She's not even tough, to be honest with you.
Your
First,
dog
you
just
gotta
hates
send
dragons,
us-
so
You gotta
Yeah.
send us to an info break first.
She just, oh, I do. Okay, sorry. She just stares at things outside and then she thinks that she can growl at those people. But if they come close to her, she'll run away. So,
Yeah. Drake
Okay,
is all
well-
squirrels. If he sees a squirrel, he's like
yeah.
barking. But if he sees a squirrel out the front door, he wants to go out the back door. That's not how outside works, dude.
That's
Like, it's not gonna be.
not how outside works. Have you ever been
It's not
outside?
gonna be in the backyard.
Oh, that's so funny. I love that.
See you next Tuesday.